You wake up and you see your mom. She greets you like she always does, but you don't feel the warmth that you usually would when you see her. Instead, you feel off. You look her in the eyes. Something is wrong. This woman isn't your mother. Who is this woman? She looks so similar to your mother, identical maybe, but she's not your mother. She seems to know everything about you, the food you like, what you should be doing today, and can answer any personal question. But you are absolutely positive that this woman isn't your mother. What would you do? Would you play along? Why don't your friends notice? Why doesn't her partner notice? Why doesn't anyone notice that she has been replaced except you? Well, you wouldn't be the only one to have had this feeling. No, you actually wouldn't be alone at all. In a shocking incident that took place in October 2018, a man from Adelaide, Australia, inflicted a series of horrific attacks on his mother that left her with life-threatening injuries. During the several-hour-long assault, the man doused his mother in petrol, pushed her head into a freezer, punched her in the face repeatedly, and punctured her lung with a wooden broomstick. The woman had to undergo reconstructive surgery on her pelvis and spent 2 months in a hospital intensive care unit. The mother and son were alone at her southern suburbs home when the incident occurred. The woman went to the garage to remove a loaf of bread from the freezer when the man grabbed her from behind and tried to push her head down into the freezer. When she fought him off, he punched her in the face multiple times, grabbed a jerry can of fuel, and followed her inside and around the home. He threw fuel over her and into her face, causing her to lose consciousness. Throughout the ordeal, the mother recalled her son behaving like he was in a trance, and his eyes were empty. He repeatedly told her that she was an alien who had his family, and asked her what she had done with his mom. When her husband arrived home about 90 minutes later, he found her lying unconscious on the floor of the ensuite bathroom. She had been gagged with toilet paper, had bruises on her face and body, and had blood around her and on her clothing. Her face and neck had been wrapped in electrical tape. After the attack, the man was found at a yacht club, arrested, and taken to a hospital for a mental health assessment. A psychiatrist who assessed the man said that he remained convinced for weeks after the assault that his mother was a shape-shifting creature. The psychiatrist found that the severity of his psychosis would have rendered him unable to understand the wrongfulness of his actions. Whilst many pieces of fiction are inspired by life, sometimes life imitates art.
They come from another world, spawned in the light years of space, unleashed to take over the bodies and souls of the people of our planet, bringing a new dimension in terror to the giant super scope screen.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers is a classic science fiction film that tells the story of a small town in California that becomes invaded by an alien plant-like species. The aliens, who arrive on Earth inside seed pods, can replicate the appearance and memories of human beings while they sleep, effectively replacing them with emotionless duplicates.
He's got the crazy idea she isn't his mother.
She isn't. Don't let her get me.
Nobody's gonna get you, Jimmy.
The film follows Dr. Miles Bennell, a local doctor who begins to notice that his patients and friends are behaving oddly and showing no signs of emotion. He soon discovers that these people have been replaced by alien duplicates and that the town is being taken over.
No, wait. Maybe I'd better take it.
Why don't you go in, Miles? We've been waiting for you.
Dr. Bennell and his love interest, Becky Driscoll, try to escape the town and alert the authorities. But they find that the aliens are spreading rapidly and that it may be too late to stop them.
First our town, and all the towns around us. It's a malignant disease spreading through the whole country.
The film is often interpreted as a commentary on the fear of communism during the Cold War, with the aliens representing the threat of conformity and loss of individuality. It has since become a cult classic and has been remade several times, with each version putting a unique spin on the story. So, back to reality. What's going on here with the man from Adelaide? Aliens, right? Well, no. Something much less predictable than that. The human mind. Capgras Delusion, also known as Capgras Syndrome, is a rare psychiatric disorder in which an individual holds the delusional belief that someone they know or a familiar face has been replaced by an imposter or a duplicate. This disorder is named after the French psychiatrist Joseph Capgras, who first described it in 1923. A person with Capgras delusion typically believes that a family member, friend, or even a pet has been replaced by an identical-looking imposter or a body double. This belief can extend to physical places as well, such as homes or workplaces, where the individual believes they are in a copy of the real location. Despite the person's ability to recognize the physical features of the person or place, they cannot shake off the feeling that there is something wrong or off about it. Capgras delusion is often accompanied by a sense of fear, unease, and paranoia towards the supposed imposter, leading to social isolation and strained relationships. The person may avoid contact with the supposed imposter and may resort to extreme measures to verify their identity. These measures can include checking their fingerprints, demanding to see a passport, or even resorting to violent behavior to expose the imposter. The cause of Capgras delusion is still not fully understood. However, researchers have suggested that the disorder may result from a breakdown in the neural connections between the emotional centers of the brain, such as the amygdala, and the frontal cortex responsible for logical reasoning and decision-making. The disconnection can lead to the brain's inability to process emotions and familiarity, resulting in the delusional belief that someone or something is not who they appear to be. It's difficult to estimate the exact number of Capgras delusion cases since it is a relatively rare disorder, and some individuals may not seek treatment or may be misdiagnosed. Studies have suggested that Capgras delusion may be more common in individuals with certain neurological or psychiatric conditions, such as dementia, schizophrenia, or traumatic brain injury. Some studies estimate the prevalence of Capgras delusion to be less than 1% of psychiatric patients, while others suggest a higher prevalence in certain populations. For example, one study found that nearly 7% of individuals with Alzheimer's disease experienced Capgras delusion. It's important to note that Capgras delusion is still not fully understood, and there may be cases that go undiagnosed or misdiagnosed as other psychiatric or neurological conditions. Niall Stapleton was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia by medical professionals, but he refused to accept the diagnosis and did not consistently take his prescribed medication. He believed that the government was conspiring against him and that the pharmaceutical industry was using drugs to addict people and make profits. Despite his family's efforts to intervene and seek treatment for him, Niall's mental state continued to deteriorate. One day, he attended a family barbecue, but his behavior was erratic and paranoid. He accused his sister's boyfriend of putting LSD in his beer and was afraid to go to the barber, fearing he would be held captive. The following day, Niall attacked his mother, Siobhan, in the garage, believing that she was an imposter. He repeatedly hit her on the head with a shovel handle until she died. It was only when he returned to the scene later that he realized he had killed his own mother, not an imposter. Niall was arrested after his mother's funeral, and during his trial, he eventually admitted to attacking her. However, due to his mental illness, he was found not guilty of murder and was sentenced to life in a secure mental health facility. whilst everyone so far that has claimed a relative to be an imposter has been found not guilty on reasons of insanity, there are those that attempt to fake this illness to get off the hook. Blaze J. Cott, 25, killed his wife, Caroline Coffey, aged 28. Blaze's lawyer told the jury, "You have to be willing to learn about mental illness and how it presents itself for Cott to get a fair trial. There is no simple explanation. The explanation is found in the human mind as it descends into the abyss." Blaze J. Cott acknowledges committing the murder of Caroline Coffey on the Black Diamond Trail close to their apartment in Ithaca's remote outskirts in June last year. However, the prosecution has disputed the claim that Cott was driven by an extreme emotional disturbance beyond his control. They pointed to his actions of trying to destroy evidence, including bloody clothing and computer records, as contradictory evidence to this claim. You're going to find out that this crime was planned and carried out by this man, Tompkins County Assistant District Attorney Andrew McElwee said. As a teenager, Blazich had exhibited schizophrenia-type traits that left him always wondering if someone might be watching him through electrical wall outlets, his lawyer said. Caroline Coffey was murdered on June 2nd, a short distance away from their apartment, on a trail that is well liked by joggers and bikers and stretches between two parks, shortly after she had uploaded their wedding photographs on Facebook. Blaze J. Cott set their apartment on fire and was then noticed by a state park officer sitting in a parked car with dried blood on his arms. After being spotted, Cott led the police on an 8-kilometer high-speed pursuit. During the pursuit, Cott inflicted serious injuries on himself by cutting his throat with a knife. He was airlifted to a hospital where he received treatment and survived. Eventually, the jury found him guilty of second-degree murder, even though he tried to argue that he had Capgras Delusion. I always find it fascinating how close we can be to snapping. How the most terrifying things, no matter how hard people try, are never aliens, monsters, or any kind of fiction. But instead, the reality that surrounds us. The complete unpredictability of humans and what we in our minds are really capable of. But until next time, keep fearing the living.